So if we're talking about sine, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Ooh, there's an E. This with an E on the end, why is it spelled like that? That's if it's all spelled out, and we abbreviate it to be SIN. That's an excellent question. Just like when we say tangent, we abbreviate it tan. Same with cosine. This is cosine, but we abbreviate it COS, cos, on the calculator. So if I'm just going to say, let's start at A. If we start at A, this is my hypotenuse. And then across from A, this is the opposite side, and this would be the adjacent side. So for the sake of naming this, the opposite is BC, and the hypotenuse is BA. Find sine of U and sine of W. So if I start with sine of U, that means I'm standing at U, and I'm going to label my sides first. This is the hypotenuse. Based on this angle, 16 is opposite, and this would be adjacent. So sine of U, what do we say? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so the opposite is 16, the hypotenuse is 34, and U represents a side or an angle. An angle. This is an angle measure, and so to find an angle measure, we need to use inverse. Angles are inside the triangle, so we use inverse to solve for those angles. So we go sine inverse of 16 divided by 34, and that gives us U. So U equals, what do we need to check first? Is the calculator in degree mode? So you push the mode button right here, and it needs to be highlighted black and say degree. If it doesn't, arrow down, arrow over, push enter to turn it on, to turn it black. So I go second quit. Now I can type it in. Do you see sine inverse in this little blue up here? So I need to push the blue button first and then push sine. That gives me the sine inverse. 16 divided by 34. That gives us 28.1. The next number is 5 or higher. It's higher than 5, so it's going to round up to 28.1 degrees. So that's angle U. And then I find sine of W. So I'm not here anymore, and this isn't going to be adjacent, and this isn't opposite. I'm at W, put my dot at W. Now this over here, this 30 is opposite, and this 16 is the adjacent side. So what's the rule for sine say? It's opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite side is 30. The hypotenuse is 34. To find angle W, to find the angle inside the triangle, we use inverse. Sine inverse of 30 divided by 34 gives us W. So W is 61.9 degrees. You know how I know that's right? So if those two add to 90 plus the 90 degree angle here, they add up to 180, right? Let's talk about cosine. Cosine, like I said, we abbreviate it as COS when we write it. It's just a shorthand. Cosine is the adjacent side over hypotenuse. So in this picture, if I say, let's find the cosine of A, this is my hypotenuse. Across from A, opposite of A, is this side. And the adjacent side, the side right next to A, that helps form angle A, this is called adjacent. So the adjacent side, we name it as CA. The hypotenuse is BA. If you flip those letters around AC and AB, that's okay. Find cosine of R and cosine of S. If I say cosine of R, that means I need to start at R, put my little man at R. What do I have? My hypotenuse. If I'm at R, this is the side opposite, and this is the side adjacent. So if I say cosine of r, what is cosine? Adjacent over hypotenuse. The adjacent side is 28. Our hypotenuse is 53. R is the end. R is an angle. How do we find an angle? Inverse. Angles use inverse. They're inside the triangle. 28 divided by 53, that gives us R. 58.1 degrees. In S, so now I'm not standing at R. This is an adjacent and this is an opposite. If I go to S, across from S, this is my opposite, and now this is my adjacent. Cosine says what? Adjacent, which is 45, over hypotenuse, which is 53. To solve for S, we go cosine inverse, because it's an angle which lies inside the triangle. And so S equals 31.9. 31.9 degrees. Because when I add these two, they add up to 90. Plus my 90-degree angle gives me 180 degrees in that triangle. Questions? Great question. If I did, let's go up here. If I did tangent of S, think about this a second. Tangent of S is opposite over adjacent. Oh, I'm sorry. Tangent of S is opposite and adjacent, right? Set this up. I'm just going to make a note. Tangent of S is opposite over adjacent, correct? How do we find S? We do the inverse to find my angle. Type this in your calculator. Tell me what you get. Tangent inverse 28 over 45. 31.89. So S is 31.9, right? What did I say S is? 31.9. If you have all three sides, it doesn't matter which one you use. Yep, you can use it with any of them now. Now that you know those, you can use any of those. So let's keep going here. If I say cosine of A equals 0.8660, what is A? Instead of saying the fraction, like 3/4 or 10/12, I'm giving you the decimal instead. It still works the same way. A, the whatever follows as cosine, this is always an angle. And to solve for an angle, we have to use inverse, because angles are inside and we use the inverse, right? So what's this look like? We go cosine inverse of 0.8660. So here, instead of saying our fraction, I'm giving you the decimal. So go second cosine. You see the cosine button in there? In between the sine and the tangent button? You go second cosine, type in your decimal, 0.8660, and we get 30. A is 30 degrees. Angle A is an angle, so it's measured in degrees. Oops, there it is. A is 30 degrees. That's it. How about this one? How far is it to walk from corner to corner of a basketball court? I want to know, if I walk from here to here, what's this distance? So I'm going to call it X. We call this distance X. This is 94 feet long. Your basketball court, somebody Googled it for me in second hour. It's 94 feet. And this angle is 62 degrees right here. I always start at my angle. So I'm going to start at my 62 degrees, start at my corner, then I can figure out how long is this distance. If this is the right angle, this is our hypotenuse. And if I'm starting here, this would be the side opposite or adjacent? Opposite. Very good. So let me ask you this. If I have opposite and hypotenuse, is that so, ka, or toa? Which combination is that? Opposite and hypotenuse. Which one deals with opposite and hypotenuse? So, your sine, right? What information do I have? I have an opposite. I'm looking for my hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse deals with sine. Sine of my angle, which is 62, equals, what's the rule say? Opposite, which is 94, over the hypotenuse, which is x. X is down in the denominator, so we divide. I take this whole thing, and it switches place with my x. And so I have x equals 94 divided by sine of 62. We type it in our calculator. 94 divided by, I know my angle measure, so I don't use inverse. The only time inverse is used is if you don't know your angle. 94 divided by sine of 62 gives us 106.5. Is the next number 5 or higher? Yes, so that rounds this up. 106.5. And it's feet. So if I were to walk diagonally from corner to corner of a basketball court, it would take us 106.5 feet to walk that distance. If this is 106.5 feet, how do we find a third side if I know 2? Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem. Or, how about here? If I'm standing right here, what is this side? It's the adjacent. If I want to know this side, maybe call it y, and this side is opposite. If I have opposite and adjacent, how would I solve that one? Tangent of 62, because tangent deals with opposite and adjacent, right? Tangent of 62 equals the side opposite over the adjacent, which is y. And how do we solve that one? Y is in the denominator, so we switch them and divide. And what do you get? 49.98. That's going to round this up, which is going to actually change that number to 50. So y equals 50 feet. So this is 50 feet by 94 feet. And our diagonal is 106.5. Does that make sense? Is this along the side of our triangle for the hypotenuse? Yeah. And if we did Pythagorean theorem, we could check this. Does 50 squared plus 94 squared equals 106 squared? Real quick. 50 squared plus 94 squared. 11,336, 106.5 squared. Are those equal? Pretty close. We rounded in there, so it's going to be a little different.